Hospital porters' pride and dignity stop the New World Order. Welcome to Hapanwo TV. The film you're about to see is all about an incident that happened in which Prince Philip had a road traffic accident. Now, this has been in the news, you've probably seen all about it. I'm going to say a few words about this because I think there are certain issues connected to this event which I think deserve a second look. So let's just go through some of those details now.
Right, I'll give you a little bit of background now to exactly what happened. The incident happened on Thursday afternoon, and what happened, it was an accident black spot actually. It was actually at this where you see the arrow number 1. That's where it happened. It's the A419. The A419 is this big main road. It's an accident black spot actually, not far from Sandringham House, which is arrow number 2, which is one of the Queen's official residences. It was actually the junction of the A149 and the B1439, and we'll just have a quick look at that junction now. As you can see, it's one of these strange junctions which have like a little triangular shaped structure in the middle, like an island, and there's a slip road coming off the main road, a slip road coming on, and this is the gap in between filled by the island, which is triangular in shape, or perhaps one could say it's pyramidal in shape, which would make it even more interesting. Just go to Google Earth and have a look at it from above, and you can see it more clearly from above. It's pretty interesting actually. So what happened was that, as I say, this was near the estate in Norfolk, which is the Queen's official residence, Sandringham House. It appeared that Prince Philip, who's 97 years old and is the consort to Queen Elizabeth II, pulled out of that junction there from the main road, from the small road. I don't know which particular, you can see which bit he went down, but I think he went down the right hand bit because that's where you turn on and off the road. The other slip roads for traffic coming off the main road. But he was driving a black Land Rover, and according to the witness, the Land Rover collided with a Kia hatchback as he joined the junction, and it is reported from this witness that his car tumbled and careened across the carriageway and ended up in the ditch on its side. And if you look at the various news images of this, I don't need to show you one of those, you can find them, you can see exactly what happened. Now, there were 2 women in the hatchback and a 9-month-old baby. The baby was unhurt. One of the women broke her wrist and the other one suffered minor cuts. Amazingly, Prince Philip was completely unharmed despite his advanced years, and as you can see in the news photo, his car definitely came off worse. You can definitely tell. It was knocked on its side, windows were smashed out, stuff like that. The Kia wasn't quite as badly damaged, but the Range Rover was the Land Rover that he was driving was pretty badly damaged. He did go and see his doctor as a precaution, so they say, and then he went straight home to Sandringham House, and this is Sandringham House. And there is Sandringham House. It's quite a nice little pile, isn't it? Wouldn't mind moving in there. I could have my computer in one of those big front bay windows, and Russell the alien could have his own room, and I could hang up my porter's uniform in the hallway. Yes, indeed. Very, very nice indeed. I could host UFO conferences there, couldn't I? Hey. That is Sandringham House, which is on the big Sandringham estate in Norfolk, which is right near the sea. It's near the sea where the Wash is. Now, that estate actually has a dark reputation. It's the scene of the death of 2 kings, King George VI and King George V. Both of them died there. Who's the father and grandfather of the Queen, her queenness herself. I can't go into too much detail now because this is sort of private information, but there have been alien abductions in the area and mysterious disappearances in the vicinity. And the most famous of these disappearances, admittedly, did not happen on the estate, but it happened to an army unit, a British army unit, that were based on the estate. This is the Sandringham Battalion. In 1915, they vanished. They disappeared. This was during the Dardanelles campaign in Turkey. Now, admittedly, during war, these things happen. You know, men can be lost in action. But in this case, an entire battalion of troops, hundreds of men, disappeared. They just vanished. It was very, very strange indeed. So, yeah, very, very odd situation, isn't it? Very odd indeed. This is just a couple of miles, as you can see from the map I showed you at the beginning, from where Prince Philip had his little scrape of paintwork on his great big little black Land Rover.
So what happened here then? Was he just lucky? It's possible. It's, as I said, you see the car, he was unhurt. It's true that no one was badly hurt, luckily, in that accident. But the two women in the car, one had a broken wrist, one had cuts, as I said. The baby was fine, luckily. Obviously, they had a good car seat for the kid. But as you can see in the pictures, Prince Philip should have been hurt worse, I reckon. When you see the damage done to the car. I mean, you can see in many of the news pictures, you'll see, for example, parts of the Range Rover are broken off. The side of the car is damaged. The windscreen and several other windows are broken. It's on its side, so it went right over onto its side. And I mean, Land Rovers are pretty robust vehicles, aren't they? I mean, they're not easily knocked over. Yet he was completely unharmed. A 97-year-old man was completely unharmed. Well, when it comes to these sorts of things, I mean, the royal family do have a knack, certainly in the modern age, for charming the goddess Fortuna, the Roman goddess of luck. Now, this could be something to do with their occult powers. Not all the royal families have been lucky. In fact, I'll tell you in a minute about a branch of their family that's certainly very unlucky. But this particular branch, the Saxe-Coburg-Gothas, what we call the Windsors, do seem to be very, very lucky. The Mountbattens, as Prince Philip's line is. So, I mean, has any of them ever had cancer? I don't think so. They've all had healthy, happy children. I mean, fingers crossed. Harry and Meghan, of course, are, touch wood, Harry and Meghan are expecting. So, obviously, I wish them all the best for that. As I said before, I wouldn't wish anything bad to happen to them in that respect. So they could have been just lucky. Philip could have been just one of these lucky royals, as the royals are. What's also possible is he could have shapeshifted. In alarm, I mean, it's been said that the reptilians can hold their human form, and indeed it appears they keep a human form when they're dead as well, which I'll say more about in a minute. With another, as I said, I'll come into that in more details in a minute. But we know that Prince Philip shapeshifted, possibly, in the car, and that's why he survived the crash. He was in his reptilian form during the impact, so he shapeshifted in, and the reptilian humanoid form is larger than human, obviously still large enough to fit in the car, and is covered in hard, scaly skin. So it has more fortitude than a human body. Human bodies are quite weak, actually. It's quite compared to many other animals, and we can't run very fast. Things like that. We're not very good if we fall off somewhere high. Things like that. Cats, of course, you throw a cat off somewhere high, it'll just land on its feet. So he could have shapeshifted into a reptilian form. Now, I want to point out something to you, because some of you are going to be laughing your heads off at this point. This is not a comedy video. If you want to laugh, laugh. But I am saying what I do in all seriousness. I will provide links for you for any background I have into the reptilians in the description box, which you can go and have a look at. But I do take this extremely seriously. And I've looked at the evidence, and I know a lot of people in the truth movement don't agree with me on this, but I do think that there is a reality behind this reptilian thing. And indeed, look at I appeared at the RepCon. I mean, unfortunately the videos aren't available anymore, but I did actually MC the RepCon conference with Ellis Taylor and several other people. There was Frank Willis there. There was a couple of other guys talking about Simon Parkes. Who was the other one? Yeah, there's four of us. Ellis Taylor, Frank Willis, Simon Parkes, and who was the fourth one? I can't remember. But it was a very, very good conference organised by Chris Turner. He's going to do another one soon, I hope. So, yeah, I take seriously the idea that he might have shapeshifted. On the other hand, someone actually wrote to me on Facebook, and politely for a change, and said, hey Ben, could this be a case of the devil taking care of his own? And I thought about it, and yes, it's certainly possible that in a sense, archonic forces intervened. Now, Graham Hancock, in one of his books, he talks about how he believes he was saved by divine intervention, or his wife was. They were visiting some ancient monument, as he and his wife did, and one of them fell over. One of these huge stone edifices toppled over and almost landed on his wife, Santha. But then suddenly some invisible hand seemed to pick it up and move it away. And Hancock puts that down to divine intervention of some sort. So yeah, I mean, but in the same way as good people are saved by divine forces, bad people can be saved by malevolent forces. So the malevolent supernatural is as real as the divine supernatural, and and can act to intervene into worldly affairs. And I believe that the archons do actually do this. The archons being the name for one of the names for this malevolent force that is operating on Earth in a parasitic way through the occupation, through the possession of certain individuals. Again, I'd love to be able to talk to you in more detail about these subjects, but it's a huge, huge topic. And I'd probably need a 2-hour video. And I might have made one before, I don't know, I can't remember. You guys have a better memory of the videos I make than I do, so you probably, someone will say, oh yeah, Ben, I watched this video you made about it. So yeah. On the other hand, you know, this could have been, well, whether Prince Philip was saved or not by divine or undivine forces, antichrist forces. Oh, excuse me. Could this have been some kind of attempted murder? Maybe they wanted to bump him off. And why? Why would they? If he's so elite and he's such a high up the ladder in the elite Illuminati hierarchy, why would they want to kill him? Why would they kill him? Well, they do. You see, the Illuminati do kill their own, and I'll come on to another example of that in a minute. So I just had to change the film chip there. Sorry, I did a bit of a. I thought there was plenty of space on the chip, but it wasn't. Anyway, so like I said, would they have killed him? Why would they kill him? How could they kill him if he's high up the Illuminati ladder? Well, they will sacrifice their own for political agendas, and I'll give you another very good example in a minute. But why would they kill him now? I mean, this person who wrote to me on Facebook suggested it's a distraction from Brexit. And yes, that's possible. It is possible that they would go to this length to cause some kind of psychological impact or some kind of psychological psychological warfare action, a cultural manipulation of the people for something to do with Brexit. Now, they did this with Joe Cox back in 2016. Now, you might say, well, Joe Cox is like a junior MP. Prince Philip is Prince Philip. I think maybe Brexit is so important, or stopping Brexit is so important to the Illuminati right now, that they actually would take out one of their own for it. I think they would possibly sacrifice one of their own for it. They are willing to sacrifice people for their agenda. And so that's a possibility. Now, we're going to come on to another possibility, which really changes everything. Is Prince Philip already dead? Now, I brought this up on Hapanmo Radio a while ago because I actually said that I suspected that Prince Philip is actually already dead, and he died sometime in late 2017. The reason I think that is because that was when he officially retired from public life, and there was something in the tone of the reports that made me think more is going on here. I can't prove it, but I think more is going on here. Now, it's possible because let's say he's 97, so well, he hasn't reached the David Rockefeller stage yet, but he's still pretty elderly. He's also, his health has been deteriorating over the last 5 years. I remember during the Golden Jubilee, he was actually pretty sick. And I think he actually had to go to hospital at one point. He suffers from numerous water infections, which is a big sign that the immune system is breaking down. The bladder and the urethra are a major source of infection, and the first sign you know when someone's immune system is breaking down, when they suffer from a lot of cystitis, a lot of water infections, things like that. So this was a sign that possibly his aging immune system was giving up the ghost. In which case he wouldn't have lived another 5 years. So, which leads me to think he's already dead and they haven't told anyone. Well, why wouldn't they tell him? Why wouldn't they just announce it if he was dead? And the answer is political climate. I think there's good reason to suspect that Fidel Castro did not die in 2016, as has been claimed. He's officially this long-term leader of Cuba. He's actually been leading Cuba since 1960. That he died officially in November of 2016. However, there's good reason to believe, and I've done an article about this, that he actually popped his clogs in sometime in 2013. for the same reason. His mysterious disappearance from public life, nothing at all, nothing was said, nothing was. It's almost like he almost had this kind of existential death in a way that he wasn't talked about. And you see the same thing with Prince Philip. People just stop talking about him. It's like he's already dead in a way in people's minds, and in the minds of the media, the people who keep the royal family, our attention focused on the royal family. Prince Philip is really essentially already dead in that respect. So if they kill, why? So what political climate would prevent Prince Philip's death being announced? If, for instance, he had died sometime in late 2017 or early 2018, and there could be several reasons, depending exactly when the death took place. One of them is that he died just after Professor Stephen Hawking. Now, why wouldn't they want, for Stephen Hawking, why wouldn't they want Prince Philip's death announced at the same time, or close to, or soon after Stephen Hawking's? And the answer is, when Hawking died, I remember it very well, I was surprised, and indeed a lot of people were surprised, at the outpouring of public grief. It became clear that Stephen Hawking was not just a great scientist, he was a major cultural figure. And he was a pop scientist who was very, very popular. Unlike Professor Brian Cox, who I'm not the only one who dislikes, him, Hawking was very likeable. He was much loved by people. People respected him and they admired him. And when he died, there was a huge national mourning. I remember at his funeral, thousands of people came to his funeral in Cambridge, and they lined the route of the funeral, of the hearse and everything, and people were crying. People who never knew him were crying in the audience, in the crowd that had come to pay their final respects to Hawking. Stephen Hawking, there were memes going around everywhere. I saw them. I shared a few of them. There was some funny ones as well, like Hawking sitting in his wheelchair at the bottom of the steps. These steps are going up to the clouds and heaven and things like that. He's going, "Oh shit!" And of course, that's a joke at his expense, at the expense of his paralysis. But it's one that he would appreciate himself. He used to laugh at himself through his speech, through his voice box. Unless it's the same Stephen Hawking. I know I saw the Rich Planet show about that. Maybe there's more than one. I know. Let's just assume for the purposes of this conversation that he is the real Stephen Hawking. But anyway, because people think he is. There was a beautiful meme actually. Someone did a chalk drawing showing him his wheelchair, and he and his wheelchair were floating in space, and he was flying off. And he was like flying out of his wheelchair, and his glasses were flying off, and it was heading towards a great big galaxy, and it was beautiful actually. He's flying through the air out of his wheelchair towards a great big galaxy, and there was even a musical requiem composed for him by Vangelis. Wrote a musical requiem, and you can get it on YouTube. And you know Vangelis, he's a famous Greek guy, famous composer from Greece. He's composed a lot of movie scores for films like Chariots of Fire and Blade Runner, and he made the scores for those. So yeah, I mean, really, people were very, very sad when Hawking died. Now, when Prince Philip finally kicks the bucket, what will happen? How will the public receive the news of his death? Well, they're not going to give a shit, are they? They'd shrug their shoulders and say, "Oh, well, the old bastard's gone, so what?" Now, if Prince Philip's death was announced too soon after Hawking's, people would be able to make the connection. They would be able to see, they'd be able to compare the reaction to Hawking's death and Prince Philip's death. My Gillette protest beard is growing slowly, and it's got that point where it's really itching now. When it gets a bit longer, it'll stop itching. Sorry. So that's one of the reasons. There may be other reasons I'm not aware of. Now the thing is, if it was a distraction from Brexit and he's dead, or whether he's alive, or if he's alive and he survived, so of course they didn't kill him. Maybe that was unintentional. Maybe they wanted to murder him, or maybe he's dead and they decided to stage a fake accident. In which case, that doesn't quite make any sense. Because it's not going to distract from Brexit, is it? Unless his death is announced. And also Brexit's a bit, well, as you heard if you watched my last video, the live stream. Brexit's a bit of Brexit's had it basically. It's gone. It's finished. So I don't know. Now, the thing about it is, as I said, I believe that the reptilians actually can maintain their human form in death. So when their bodies are dead, they actually are dead. I mean, they're really, they actually really are dead humans. We know this, and the reason, and this also answers the question about the royal family, the Illuminati, and their attitude to their own, about sacrificing their own. Now, the Windsors, the House of Windsor, is part of the Habsburg Illuminati bloodline. It includes all the British royals since Queen Victoria, but it also includes several other people. It actually goes back before Victoria, I think, the Habsburg. I think it go back actually to not the Tudors. Oh, I think maybe what came after the Tudors? I don't know, the Hanovers, maybe. No, the Hanovers, yeah, the Hanovers and the Habsburgs and the Windsors are the same thing. I don't know. I'm not a royal genealogist, but basically there are other branches. There are now other defunct branches of the Habsburg Illuminati bloodline in Germany and other places such as Russia. We're talking about basically the Habsburgs basically account for most of the royal families of Europe. It doesn't include the French, the Bourbons. Again, they were sacrificed, weren't they? You see, you know where I'm going with this. I'm going to say that sometimes, of course, as I said, the royal families, the royal family we know today have a reputation for being lucky, but not all of them are lucky. Of course, the Bourbons, who were an Illuminati bloodline, which includes many of the presidents of the United States, were all executed in the 18th century during the French Revolution. They had their heads cut off, including Marie Antoinette, who was a Habsburg. That's the last Queen of France. She was beheaded by guillotine, and she was a Habsburg. She was from the Austrian Habsburgs. But there's another very interesting, much more recent event, which actually 20th century, which is the Romanovs. Now, the Romanovs were a branch of the Habsburg Illuminati bloodline that ruled the Russian Empire, and they ruled it for over 200 years. Now, I've done there's two Hapanwo radio shows, not video shows, radio shows that you should go and listen to. I can't remember their numbers, but one is about the death of Grigory Rasputin, which I made on the 100th anniversary, which is in December 2016, and the other is in October 2017. I made a 100th anniversary special for the Bolshevik Revolution. So you do go check those out. And can I put the links in the description box? Will I remember to put all these links in the bloody description box? I expect so. If not, you can find them. I'll try and remember. Okay, let me think. Yes, more about the reptilians and about those videos and about those Panama radio shows. What happened was the Bolshevik Revolution took place in Russia, which was a completely globalist, Illuminati organised event. The Bolshevik Revolution wasn't completely and utterly intended by the Illuminati. What happened was the king at the time, the Tsar, Nicholas II, was arrested and put in prison in various different ways, through house arrest, with his wife, Queen, what's her name, the Tsarina, Alexandra, I think her name was. Oh, I can't remember. But they have 4 daughters: Olga, Tatiana, Maria, and Anastasia, and a son called Alexei, who was very sick. I mean, he would not have lived past his early 20s because he had haemophilia, and the king was just hoping he would live long enough to have a son, and then the line would continue. But they were basically moved from several different places. The Russian Civil War broke out, and they were living in a place called the Apatiev House, which is in Ekaterinburg. And what happened was, one night the area was about to be attacked and occupied by the White Army, that is the enemies of the Bolsheviks in the Russian Civil War. And in one night in 1918, they got the whole family together, announced they were going to be moved somewhere else so they wouldn't panic, led them down into the cellar with all their luggage, and a group of gunmen came in and shot them all. The bodies were basically dismembered. There was attempts to dismember them and throw them into a pit. Now, these bones were not discovered. Well, the first bones were discovered in 1979, I believe. And then the last one, which was Prince Alexei, was discovered in 2007. In fact, to actually prove it was Prince Alexei, they compared his DNA from the bones with the DNA of his nearest living relative, who happened to be the man in the car crash, the lizard prince himself, Prince Philip. And they found out it was him. So now the point I'm making is that firstly, obviously these were human bones, so the reptilians can maintain human form in death. And secondly, the Illuminati are willing to throw their own under the bus. They will throw their own to the wolves if necessary. Now, the creation of the Soviet Union was a very, very important part of the Illuminati agenda for the New World Order through the 20th century. And in order to do it, they threw the Romanov dynasty to the wolves. They let them go. They said, we'll sacrifice them. Maybe it was in some way satanic. Sacrifice them for the greater good of the agenda. And this is the Illuminati philosophy. If you're in the Illuminati, you have all the privileges, you have all the perks. But you never say no. You obey every order from above. And also, you yourself will receive no loyalty and no thanks if your death is necessary. It doesn't matter how well you have served that agenda. If your death is necessary for that agenda, you die. Whether you're shot in a cellar in 1918 or crashed in a car on a country lane in 2019, the rules apply. Do you know, I just do not have any firm answers at the moment. I don't know exactly what's going on here. I don't know. I can't tell you exactly what is actually happening. I can't explain to you exactly. what's going on here. I don't have any firm answers, I'm afraid. It's all maybes, and I can't give you more. I can't give you any more than that at the moment, I'm afraid. But I don't want you, even if you think this is a funny video, it's not meant to be. You can laugh at it if you want, but I say these things about reptilians and archons completely and utterly soberly and seriously. I consider these things to be real, and I consider them to be real on the balance of evidence. Okay, not because I'm crazy. That's it. Get well soon, Prince Philip. Oh, he's not ill, is he? Oh, he's dead. No, he's not. He's not injured. No, I meant what I said about Harry and Meghan. I wish them all the best, and I'll do another video actually about Harry and Meghan pretty soon, when the baby comes, and I wish them all the best for it. I'll say I'll probably do another video and write some articles as well about if these lizard people ever shuffle off this mortal coil during my lifetime, because I've got a feeling they're going to outlive me. David Rockefeller was 101 when he popped off. I mean, who else was there? Henry Kissinger's in his late 90s. George Soros is 90-something. Who's the other one? Brzezinski. Yeah, I think he's still alive. He's about 98. It's on, isn't it? You know, it's like that song by Billy Joel, "Only the Good Die Young." It's true. Especially in 2016, we lost Carrie Fisher, we lost David Bowie, we lost Prince, we lost Michael Jackson, we lost Keith Chegwin. Loads of celebrities were dying, and they were popping off in their early 60s, their late 50s, early 60s. I put up a meme showing all these people, these much more admirable and decent people. There was Carrie Fisher and Prince and Michael Jackson and George Michael and all these other people saying, just think how much longer we could have lived. All we needed to do was be evil. And on the other side, I've got David Rockefeller, Robert Mugabe, Henry Kissinger and Prince Philip, and they're all going, well, we tried to tell you. I thought it was a very witty meme. Anyway, thank you for watching Hapanwo TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.